We are just a few minutes away from 7 o'clock at the top of the hour.
Yeah, Nate Burleson joining us live now for a check of what's all new next on CBS Mornings. Good morning and welcome back. Starting the week off.
Hey, Ryan, Audrina, good to see you. I hope all is well. Coming up on CBS Mornings, a new effort to honor the civil rights legacy of Emmett Till. Elise Preston visits the Mississippi town where he was killed nearly 70 years ago and talks with Till's cousin who was with him that day. Also, we'll look at what's behind all these flight delays and cancellations this summer. A CBS investigation looks at what's being done to solve the airline staffing shortage. And we're talking with the founder and CEO of Cue the Curves, how she's changing the game for plus-size women, making them feel good and look good. We'll have everything you need to know, and of course, more on the show. We will see you at 7.
All right, Nate, a lot of NFL training camps opening up, including the Bears today. One, do you miss putting the pads on? And what do you think about our Bears? How are they going to look this season with Justin Fields?
No, I do not miss putting the pads on. My body feels better on Sundays when I'm not playing the game. But I do love the Bears. You know, if you look at what Justin Fields can bring to the table, just look at the last 2 quarterbacks that were in the Super Bowl. You had Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, and those guys can throw the ball and they're athletic. If you build an offense around a quarterback like Justin Fields, they're going to be good. Oh, and last thing, you don't have the boogeyman in the NFC North anymore. Aaron Rodgers is gone.
Look at that.
It's up for grabs, baby.
Yeah. Times have changed.
We'll see. Well, let's hopefully that Justin Fields isn't running for his life like he was last year, and he throws it a little bit more. Appreciate it. We'll see you at 7.
Right.
All right, right now, let's get you caught up on the headlines you'll want to know today.
Yeah, topping our nonstop news, a lot of questions this morning after a police officer was shot.
I'm Mugo Digwe live outside Chicago Police headquarters. The investigation continues this morning after a police officer was shot in the hand during a traffic stop last night. We know it happened around 7:30 near Shields and 56. This was in Englewood around 7:30. Police say officers were conducting a traffic stop, but the people in the car, instead of stopping, they reversed and hit a police car. And that is when those officers started firing at those people. At some point, we're told one of the officers was shot in the hand, but right now, police haven't said how or who did it.
At this time, it's still preliminary. We're not sure exactly who fired all of the shots.
At last check, we're told that officer is in good condition, but police are still searching for the people in that car who got away. We're live outside CPD headquarters. Mugo Digwe, CBS 2 News.
And right now we're going to a live picture from 81st and Exchange because Chicago police were investigating after a 1-month-old baby died after being found unresponsive. This is new information. We're just getting into our newsroom. Police say someone went to check on the sleeping baby and found he was not breathing. Paramedics rushed that baby to the hospital, but he has died. Chicago firefighters arrived at the house, detected a gas leak from the kitchen stove. They shut off the gas so People's Gas could inspect the lines. It's not clear if the gas leak is to blame for the baby's death. We'll continue to work to find out more.
Today, a funeral mass will be held for the 14-year-old boy killed tragically in that crash last week at a Hinsdale sandwich shop. Sean Patrick Richards was hit by a Jeep outside of Fontano's Subs last week. He died 4 days later. In an obituary, his parents remembered Richards as a gentle soul with a unique understanding of kindness and friendship.
People who gathered Sunday at the Woodlawn home where Emmett Till and his family once lived will be among those watching President Biden later today when he dedicates a national monument to Till, the teenager from Chicago whose lynching in the 1950s in Mississippi launched the civil rights movement. The nonprofit group Flax in Green is working to make the Emmett Till and Mamie Till Mobley House Museum a historical site. That site would be in addition to the 3 sites President Biden will honor later today.
Whether it was tragic or triumphant, this is historical evidence in the city of Chicago of a big landmark, not in only Black history, but in American history.
In addition to Robert's Temple Church of God in Christ, where Till's funeral was held, the Emmett Till and Mamie Till Mobley National Monument will also include the riverbank in Mississippi. That's where Till's body was recovered, and the courthouse where Till's killers were found not guilty by an all-white jury.
It has been a relatively quiet Tuesday morning rush hour, very hazy out there, but we do have one incident going on. We will turn to the maps and I will show you where. First of all, of course, the Kennedy is the worst thing we've got, but the inbound side of the Eisenhower is not close behind. It's jammed up solid from Manheim into First Avenue with a crash in the right lane, and the outbound side is all backed up from before Laramie with gapers. Have a great day. Drive.
Thank you, Chris. Yeah, we're talking about the hazy skies over Chicago. Air quality alert in effect until midnight tonight. Unhealthy levels for sensitive groups. Let's go into it. That live look outside where, again, we have that gray film on top of us, the wildfire smoke from Canada, locked in pretty tight here this morning. Temperatures 60s and 70s. It's a warm, muggy start. Winds not too bad now, but we'll feel those winds picking up through the day today, boosting our highs into the 80s and 90s. 10 o'clock, it's 83, 89 by 1 today. A 4 o'clock temperature coming in at 91. Just the beginning of the 90s this week. 7-day forecast. Tomorrow we're at 90. A potential couple of rounds of thunderstorms in the morning, again in the late day. Sunshine on Thursday, and then some more thunderstorms Friday into Saturday. This heat comes to an end this weekend, but it's gonna be a hot one both Thursday and Friday. 94 degrees.
We're gonna hit the 90s again. Thank you, Laura. We appreciate it, and thank you for joining us. Join Brad Edwards live on our streaming network, CBS News Chicago.
It is free on our CBS Chicago website or app. If you're watching on TV, here's CBS Mornings.
This is CBS 2 News.
And good morning. It is now 7 a.m. off the top of the hour. We're taking a look at a CPD officer shot. We'll have the latest information when we kick off our show. That'll be breaking news. And also, a heated housing debate in one Chicago neighborhood. We'll tell you where that took place. And also, that's it. We'll have a lot of weather. Good morning. Thank you for joining us on the stream this morning. I am Brad Edwards. It is 7 a.m. We sure do appreciate having you with us. Let's kick it over. Let's actually go to Ed Kern off the top of the show right now. Ed, for the latest on the weather today, looks like a little hazy out there, a little air quality issue, huh?
Yeah, you know, we wish Canada would stop smoking. You know, they have a terrible problem with the wildfires, and once again, it's drifting our way. We had a little bit of this yesterday. We had a little bit more of this today, however. And you're taking a look here as we look up DuSable Lakeshore Drive. You can clearly see the smoke that's out here in the air. Clearly, maybe is not the right term, but you can certainly see the smoke. 71 degrees at O'Hare, 71 at Midway. Hazy sunshine, 5-mile-per-hour winds or so at O'Hare and Midway. So you've got a temperature of 69 at Waukegan, 70 in the Loop, 63 at Morris. Ottawa has 65. In Indiana, Valparaiso is 64 degrees, and LaPorte has 62. Clouds and radars show you there's not a lot to show you. I mean, the skies are pretty clear except for the smoke. Cloud-wise, we do okay, but we do have the smoke around the area for today, and we have an air quality alert that's in effect, air quality warning until midnight tonight for the area. And you can see the smoke out here really clearly as we look from 35th and the Ryan. Temperatures make it to the low 90s today. Expect a high around 92 degrees. And we have that smoke in the air with some sunshine, hot and more humid conditions today than what we've seen. 74 degrees tonight. We stay hazy. We stay warm. Scattered storms. And then tomorrow we have a chance of storms. Feels like 100 degrees with a temperature comes in at 90, and it feels like 100 degrees because look at where our humidity goes. Dew point temperatures go way up to around the 70 or so degree range, and that really puts a lot of humidity in the air. We do have a threat for severe storms tomorrow. The yellow is level 2 out of 5, and over here you jump to level 3 out of 5 as you get to about Porter County on east. We'll be watching the models very carefully as we get closer to the situation. So 92 degrees today. Tomorrow's storms, some could be strong or severe with 90 degrees. And Thursday, we have 94 degrees with mostly sunny skies. So that's why we have the alert on Wednesday, because of the threat for strong to severe storms. The main risk with this is strong winds, but we also do have the chance for hail, and there is a tiny chance of spinning up a tornado. A little bit better chance, though, as you get east of Chicago into those areas beyond Porter County. Thursday, mostly sunny and 94, and 94 on Friday. Again, lots of humidity in the air and a storm chance on Friday. But Saturday and Sunday, we see relief. Temperatures that fall back to closer to where they ought to be this time of year. 86 Saturday and 83 on Sunday. Monday brings a comfortable 82 degrees with partly cloudy skies. So heat and humidity on the way. Storms tomorrow. And we'll keep you in touch right here on the stream. Brad?
Okay, Ed, thank you very much. Now to some breaking news. A breaking news update. A CPD officer was shot in the line of duty in Englewood last night during a traffic stop. Now police are looking for the people who were in the car. Our Mugo Odigwe is outside police headquarters with that story.
Yeah, so we know that officer was shot in the hand, but right now, as the investigation continues, it's still not clear how or who shot the officer. Here is what we do know so far, though. This happened around 7:30 last night in Englewood near 56th and Shields. Police tell us officers were conducting a traffic stop. They still haven't said why or what led up to that stop, but we're told the people in the car, instead of stopping, they reversed, hitting a police car. And that is when the officers on the scene fired shots. The people in that car were able to get away. We're told they drove away from the scene. In the end, though, one of the officers was shot in the hand and taken to the hospital in good condition. Listen as a witness describes what they saw and heard.
As I got in the car, here come 5 police cars coming down the street, zooming down the street. So I'm like, man, what's going on? All of a sudden, they jumped out. One of the police officers hollered out, and then next thing you know, it was boom, boom.
Again, we're told that officer is in good condition and police are still searching for the people inside that car that drove away. Now, we're told there's also a second scene near 91st and Princeton involving a crash. That scene was just a few miles away from the first incident where the shooting happened, but right now police are not saying if both are connected. Outside CPD headquarters, Mugo Odigwe, CBS 2 News.
All right, our thanks to Mugo. We're going to go to break right now. We will be back in just a couple minutes. I'm Brad Edwards. Welcome back to the stream. We're following more breaking news from 81st and Exchange. Chicago police are investigating after a 1-month-old baby was found unresponsive. Police say someone went to check on the sleeping baby and found he was not breathing. Paramedics rushed the baby to the hospital. He was pronounced dead. Chicago firefighters arrived at the house and detected a gas leak from the kitchen stove. They called on People's Gas to inspect the lines. It's not clear if that gas leak is to blame for the baby's death. A 10-year-old boy is accused of firing a gun at police officers during a tense standoff on Chicago's South Side. Police say the child suffered a mental health episode and got his hands on a gun at the Beverly home. We're told the boy fired several rounds inside the home, then came outside, shot at police. Officers eventually arrested him.
The 10-year-old was standing on the porch. The individual got scared, threw the gun, and they were able to detain him without incident at that point.
10-year-old boy was taken to the hospital for evaluation. No injuries were reported in that shooting. We know a propane grill is to blame for this damage at a home in Hampshire in the far northwest suburbs. From Chopper 2, you can see the back deck where the grill caught fire and flames quickly spread to the attic. This started just after 4 Monday afternoon. 2 people, including a Hampshire police officer, were taken to the hospital for smoke inhalation. The fire caused more than $100,000 in damage. Confrontations, frustration, and anger all on display during a meeting about problems at a Woodlawn migrant shelter. About 200 people attended that meeting at the Apostolic Church of God in Woodlawn. They told city leaders about issues like loitering, littering, partying, prostitution, even a fight taking place in the area around the shelter and the old Wadsworth grade school.
I would ask you all to go out there at night, in the middle of the night, and see what goes on.
They disrespect us, they rob us, they harass us.
The people who are keeping up the trouble are the people who are kicked out of the damn shelter.
20th Ward Alderwoman Jeanette Taylor organized the meeting. City leaders say they are taking steps to address these problems, but residents say they are skeptical. A warm welcome for Vice President Kamala Harris. She spoke during the final days of the Unidos conference here in Chicago on Monday. It's an annual gathering of Latinos and allies working together to promote civil rights.
Diversity in our nation is not a weakness or an afterthought, but instead our greatest strength.
The vice president also called on Congress to provide a path to citizenship for so-called dreamers. Those are people who came to the U.S. as undocumented immigrant children. You're watching the stream on CBS News Chicago. Ahead, authorities in Greece are scrambling to evacuate thousands of tourists from a popular resort island following raging fires in the region. And a woman in Alabama was reportedly kidnapped. Now says she made the whole thing up. We're following the latest developments, including whether the woman will face charges. Thank you both for joining us here on the stream.
Thank you. Stream whenever you want, wherever you want. We won't judge you. Keep streaming.
When I think about growing up in Evanston, a lot of it is family. It's a real foundational feeling that's never left me. I love the commitment to surviving winter. I love the drive to always be better. I love the passion for our sports teams, taking advantage of those last warm days of summer. There's endless opportunity here to learn about each other. I feel that in this city. And I do still pinch myself when I'm driving in off Kennedy and see the skyline, unless there's terrible traffic.
Here's what you get with your average local news stream. Here's what you get with CBS News Chicago. More breaking live coverage.
A closer look at the inauguration of the new mayor.
More impactful interviews.
Today, we're finding solutions.
More First Alert weather team coverage.
Here's all the clouds we've been dealing with all morning long.
More live content when you want it, wherever you are. CBS News Chicago. More of what you're streaming for.
Cutting the cord on cable? Stream CBS 2 News live every day on CBS News Chicago.
I want you to find.
I believe in not just talking about change, but being part of the change. And how I think you do that is you impact our youth. You'll find me all the time out in the community. You'll find me mentoring. You'll find me there hoping to inspire our youth in the city. We have a responsibility to go into our neighborhoods, to go into our community centers, to talk to our young boys and girls, and to be there for them, and that's so important to me.
At the end of the day,
our mission is to serve the community. And I promised my grandmother that if I got a chance to come home and report in the city that I lived in, I would do everything I could to make sure that the community was represented. You know, that there's stories.
Good morning. Welcome back to the stream. It is that time of the day where we're checking in with our BFF, Jackie Kostick. Jackie, what are you serving up this morning?
Good morning, Brad. Well, yesterday we told you about Beyonce's $100,000 donation to small Black-owned businesses here in Chicago, all part of her mega sold-out weekend at Soldier Field. And as it turns out, her hubby Jay-Z was also giving back to Black-owned businesses as well.
Jay-Z walked in. I couldn't believe it was him. Actually, when I first saw him, I didn't think it was him. I thought maybe it was someone else acting like Jay-Z.
Well, that's Mario Coleman, co-owner of Bronzeville Soul. Coleman says Jay-Z told him he wanted to support Black-owned businesses and had learned of the restaurant by word of mouth. He ordered the short rib and pound cake, which sounds delicious. Coleman says not only did Jay-Z take photos with fans inside of the restaurant, but made 14-year-old Aaliyah Thompson's birthday week outside of the restaurant as well.
And it was like Jay-Z up in there, but I didn't believe him. And then when I actually seen him, I was shocked.
And apparently her first question to Jay-Z was, where's Beyonce, which I love. All right, in places like Lake Tahoe, California, you hear about bears breaking into cars and cabins, but you just never think that it's going to happen to you. Well, that's what one woman said after it happened to her.
There's my car with a bear inside of it. So fun.
So fun indeed. Not fun at all, actually. That is Alejandra Hernandez catching the moments after a bear was apparently able to open her car door, climb inside, and then get locked inside. The bear then seen getting down to business, as Hernandez says, annihilating the interior of her car as the bachelorette party watched. Now, after police opened the door and the bear escaped, Hernandez found the bear had gotten down to, well, another form of business.
There it is. She's just cleaning out the poop in my car. The bear poop.
Job well done.
I've never seen bear poop, so this is a first for me.
Couple firsts all in
Wow.
one. Yeah. Brad, you want to hear the craziest thing about that story, though?
I mean, is there anything crazier than a bear taking a bit in a car and then bachelorette party and getting out? What?
There is. She said the car was drivable after all of that.
That's remarkable.
Did you see how I mean, it was just...
I was also thinking to myself, is that covered by insurance?
I don't know.
A separate rider, like bear coverage?
That's a good question. I mean... I don't know, but you know, I was actually just in Yosemite National Park camping last week, and there are bear boxes. And my friend was telling me, because I was just thinking, oh, we can keep some stuff in the car, and she's like, no, everything edible and everything that like smells a certain way, like your deodorant, all of your hygiene products, all have to go in the bear box. Close it up tight, and that's it.
Bear box.
Bear box.
They give those out. You have a bear box, but
they're big like metal or steel boxes that are actually on the campsites, and then everything, like even the trash and the recycling, you have to like clip and unclip the open part of the box. So anyway, you can't just like open it, stuff your trash in, and close. You have to clip it shut. So it's serious business.
It is serious business. Unbearable.
Unbearable.
We'll get a rating on how lame that was from Ed in just a moment. Thank you, Jackie.
Put it at 4 out of 5.
Okay. Well, on the lameness level, 5 being lamest.
No, 5 actually being least lame. Well, I don't know.
Okay, all right. Again, we derailed it. So, okay, Jackie, great seeing you today. We will see you back here tomorrow.
Sounds good.
As we keep an eye on your world this Tuesday, the Biden administration and Texas are now locked in a legal battle over a floating barrier in the Rio Grande. The Justice Department filed a lawsuit to force Texas to remove the buoys. The White House says the structures are inhumane, violate federal law. Texas put up the barrier to keep migrants from crossing into the Lone Star State. Governor Greg Abbott says he'll take his fight to keep the buoys in place all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. Protests in Israel intensified after the government approved the first major law in Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's plan to take power away from the country's Supreme Court. President Joe Biden has called the bill divisive and urged Netanyahu not to go ahead with it. More than 10,000 Israeli military reservists threatened to refuse to serve if the amendment is passed. Multiple islands in Greece are now on fire. Blistering heat is forcing mass evacuations for tourists. Jenny Hill, from our partner at the BBC, has a remarkable story.
It looks idyllic, doesn't it? But the last few days have been anything but for tourists and locals alike. Over the weekend, some 19,000 people had to flee their homes and hotels to get out of the way of the advancing fires. And the fire is still burning. More than 250 firefighters are trying to bring it under control, but overnight they've reported several large flare-ups on all three fronts of that fire. You can see it's windy, it's very warm too, but that wind is expected to strengthen during the course of the day, and that of course makes the task of the firefighters so much more difficult and of course so much more dangerous. Fires have also broken out on the Greek islands of Corfu and Evia, forcing the evacuation of a number of settlements there. And as if all of that weren't enough, a heat wave, another heat wave, is expected to hit this region in the coming days. All of that is, I think, really focusing minds here on our changing climate and the potentially devastating impacts it could have, in particular for places like this which rely on the tourism industry. This is Jenny Hill with BBC News for CBS News.
Thanks to Jenny Hill. A fire in the Bronx, New York, heavily damaged more than half a dozen apartments and two businesses. The fire spread quickly through the building Monday afternoon and caused part of the roof to collapse. 7 New York firefighters were treated for smoke inhalation and heat exhaustion. 1 civilian also taken to the hospital. We've learned a woman who claimed she was kidnapped after stopping on the side of a road to help a baby made it all up. A lawyer for Carly Russell says Russell did not see a baby on the side of the road in Hoover, Alabama, and was not kidnapped. She disappeared on July 13th and returned home 2 days later. In an official statement Monday, the lawyer apologized to community, volunteers, and police who searched for Miss Russell. Now police are trying to figure out if they should file charges against her. Now, there are new accusations of hazing at Northwestern University. A volleyball player became the first female athlete to sue the school, claiming the athletics program was rife with bullying and physical punishments. That announcement comes as the school is slapped with a fourth lawsuit filed by a former football player.
I hope that by speaking out, future athletes will be free from the physical, emotional, and psychological trauma that I experienced as a collegiate athlete at Northwestern University.
Former quarterback Lloyd Yates spoke about the abuse he suffered during his time in the football program. Yates alleges he was a frequent target of locker room harassment and unwanted sexual contact. The lawsuit claims the hazing was so widespread, even assistant coaches were targeted. Yates' attorney, renowned civil rights attorney Benjamin Crump, says he plans to file more than 30 lawsuits on behalf of former NU players. A lack of wind made this a long and drawn-out version of the annual race to Mackinac. At midnight, more than 24 boats were still stalled, moving very slowly, if at all, in northern Lake Michigan. There's nothing they can do but wait for the breeze to pick back up, since they'll be disqualified if they turn on their motors. We've been tracking the race during the overnight hours. As you can see right now, just a handful of the 240 boats are still on course. I don't know if that's exactly the right video, but you can imagine what it looks like. There it is. The big sailors and the big celebration will be held on Mackinac Island, likely this afternoon.
Please give that large sea lion plenty of room. They have fit people, and they are protected animals.
Locals only. Tourists go home. That was a message from some sea lions at San Diego's La Jolla Cove, who were fed up with tourists. You can see them aggressively approaching the shore. Some people got out of the way as soon as possible, while others waited until the sea lions were on the beach. Wild. You're watching the stream here on CBS News Chicago. We're going to bring in our TV friends here for a quick update in a couple minutes. Coming up, it's sure to be your new favorite segment. We're getting a sneak peek from the yard of our Ed Curran. It's his bird cam and a purple-headed finch that paid him a visit. It's Ed's bird cam, and you won't want to miss it. Coming up at 7:30. Thank you both for joining us here on the stream.
Thank you. Stream whenever you want, wherever you want. We won't judge you. Keep streaming.
When I think about growing up in Evanston, a lot of it is family. It's a real foundational feeling that's never left me. I love the commitment to surviving winter. I love the drive to always be better. I love the passion for our sports teams, taking advantage of those last warm days of summer. There's endless opportunity here to learn about each other. I feel that in this city. And I do still pinch myself when I'm driving in off Kennedy and see the skyline, unless there's terrible traffic.
Here's what you get with your average local news stream. Here's what you get with CBS News Chicago. More breaking live coverage.
A closer look at the inauguration of the new mayor.
More impactful interviews.
Today, we're finding solutions.
More First Alert weather team coverage.
Here's all the clouds we've been dealing with all morning long.
More live content when you want it, wherever you are. CBS News Chicago. More of what you're streaming for.
Cutting the cord on cable? Stream CBS 2 News live every day on CBS News Chicago.
I want you to find.
I believe in not just talking about change, but being part of the change. And how I think you do that is you impact our youth. You'll find me all the time out in the community. You'll find me mentoring. You'll find me there hoping to inspire our youth in the city. We have a responsibility.
This is CBS 2 News.
I'm Brad Edwards with your headlines on CBS 2 and CBS News Chicago. First, let's get to meteorologist Ed Curran for today's forecast. Good morning, Ed.
Well, good morning, Brad. It's a smoky one today. We had a little wildfire smoke in the air yesterday, and we have a whole lot more today to deal with. You can see the smoke there obscuring the skyline a little bit. 71 degrees, southwest wind at just 5 miles an hour. Air quality warning till midnight tonight. Hot and more humid today. 92 degrees. Tomorrow, some storms that could be strong or severe. Brad?
Ed, thank you. Now let's get a check of your travel times this morning as you head out the door. And there you can see 90 gummed up a little bit, as is 55 by Midway as per. We'll keep an eye on that. Breaking news from 81st and Exchange, where Chicago police are investigating the death of a 1-month-old baby. Police say someone went to check on the sleeping baby and found he was not breathing. Chicago firefighters detected a gas leak from the kitchen stove and shut off the gas. It's not clear if that leak is to blame for the child's death. Bright orange flames roared from a used auto parts yard in Englewood. Our nonstop news crew spotted firefighters working quickly to put out the fire at 59th and Low. Firefighters said 15 to 20 cars were on fire. The flames are now out. No word yet on how exactly that started. I'm Brad Edwards. Get your local news anytime on our digital streaming network, CBS News Chicago. It is always on Pluto TV, through the news app, Fire TV, and Roku. We are live there right now. Come on over. Check us out. Beautiful shot there. Pritzker Pavilion, the beam. You see it all. Have a great morning.
This is CBS 2 News.
Good morning to you. Today is Tuesday, bottom of the hour. Thank you for streaming with us here. I am Brad Edwards. Now to a breaking news update. Chicago police still looking for people who were in a car during an officer-involved shooting. This happened in Englewood around 7:30 last night. You can see this heavy police presence here on 56th and Shields. Police say officers were doing a traffic stop there when people in the car reversed, hitting the police car. Officers fired shots at that car, and that car drove away. One officer was shot in the hand, taken to the hospital in good condition. We spoke to witnesses who watched it all unfold.
As I got in the car, here come 5 police cars coming down the street, zooming down the street. So I'm like, man, what's going on? All of a sudden they jumped out. One of the police officers hollered out, and then next thing you know, it was boom, boom.
We're still in the preliminary stages of this investigation. There's a lot of body cam to be viewed, and the investigation continues.
Later in the evening, officers were also on the scene near 91st and Princeton for a crash. It's just a few miles away from the first incident. We're still waiting confirmation on whether or not it was the suspects who crashed their car in that first incident. Today, a funeral mass planned for a 14-year-old boy killed in a crash outside of a Hinsdale sandwich shop. Sean Patrick Richards was hit by a Jeep outside Fontano's Subs last week. He died 4 days later. Monday afternoon, mourners lined up to pay their respects during a visitation at Sullivan Funeral Home. The columns and trees were decorated with green ribbons, similar to the ones tied around town during prayer vigils for him. In an obituary, his parents remember him as a, quote, gentle soul with a unique understanding of kindness and friendship. Only on 2, a community organization in Bronzeville celebrates traffic safety improvements made at the intersection in front of their building. They spent years fighting for that change. 51st and Prairie is now a 4-way stop. It comes after the nonprofit Urban Juncture began documenting crash after crash and even alerted their alderman, Pat Dowell, back in 2018. We first told you about the organization's calls for a 4-way stop in March, just days after a car plowed through the lower level of the building. After years of sounding that alarm, construction began earlier this month and turned 51st and Prairie from a 2-way to a 4-way stop.
Pedestrian safety is extremely critical, especially at this intersection, and small things can make a really big difference.
Following our story in March, the Alderman's office told us that a traffic study would be conducted. Alderman Dowell's office's CDOT recommended the 4-way stop in April. Meteorologist Ed Kern is now in the First Alert Weather Center now for a check of your forecast. Good morning, Ed. Boy, looking hazy out there right now.
Yeah, from 2.5 miles on the lake at the water intake crib looking into the city here, and that's what we get. So there's wildfire smoke around. Once again, we had some yesterday that was aloft, and today we've got a lot of smoke around here, aloft and at ground level too. So it's kind of a pain we got to put up with today.
Yeah, but first, let's kick off one of our favorite new segments, Ed's Bird Cam. Ed, what do we have here?
This is purple finch, and it's just none of the drama of yesterday. This guy's just standing there eating.
Oh wow! Is that sound?
Yeah.
Things got sound?
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah. This look at it. I think that's a gorgeous bird. It's raspberry red, and the female is just kind of it doesn't have any of the red at all. It looks just like kind of like a sparrow kind of look, but this guy's got the raspberry kind of red on the breast and the head, on the tail. It's just a gorgeous little bird.
So where does purple come from in the purple finch?
Where does the purple come from?
Well,
it's hair dye.
Actually,
it's hair dye. Yeah.
Oh, it's dye. Yeah. Like it's a member of the Cure or something, or the Clash.
Yeah, it's a little rock and roll thing that they like to do. Okay. They call it a purple finch, though it's a little more reddish than it is purple, and
Okay.
You can split hairs on that.
Yeah, literally. All right, Ed, thank you.
All right, here's the look into the city, this kind of murky look that we see everywhere. We look around here, especially from the more elevated cameras like this one that overlooks Bucktown and the Kennedy Expressway, and you see the smoke that's in the air obscuring us a little bit. We have sunshine out there. The sun was orange today because coming up in that wildfire smoke, and it remains to be hazy sunshine. 71 degrees at O'Hare, 71 at Midway. The sunshine dimmed a bit by the smoke that's in the air. 69 at Waukegan, 67 at McHenry, 65 at Morris. Kankakee is 65, and LaPorte, Indiana has 64 degrees currently. Hardly a cloud in the sky, but a lot of smoke in the sky that we're putting up with. Air quality alert, air quality warning until midnight tonight all around Lake Michigan with that smoke that's come down through our area. You can see it here as we look from Guaranteed Rate Field. Today's temperatures with more humidity climb to low 90s, about 92 degrees. Should be about 85 this time of year, somewhere on the hot side. Smoky sunshine, hot, humid conditions. Tonight we stay very warm, 74 degrees, and we hang on to the smoke in the air. And tomorrow we have a chance for storms, 90 degrees, figure in the humidity, and when you factor that in, it feels like about 100 degrees or so for tomorrow with storms that could be on the severe level. A lot of humidity around here tomorrow feeding those storms, and we're looking at a level 2 out of 5 for severe storms here throughout the Chicago area. As you get to Porter County and areas east, you're looking at a higher level, level 3 out of 5. And the main concern, wind damage. There is a tiny tornado risk as well. So 92 today, 90 tomorrow with storms. Then the mid-90s for Thursday and Friday. And then with some storms on Friday, we bring in cooler air. And we're in the mid-80s and lower 80s by the time we get to Monday. Brad?
Ed, thank you. Our state is handing over $14 million to help fix water problems in South Suburban Dixmoor. We've been tracking these issues for years here at CBS 2. Here's a look at village officials handing out bottled water. That's back in February after a water main break left residents without safe drinking water. It's just one of several major water main breaks the village has struggled with recently. Monday, the state announced its funding plans. $10 million will go towards improving pumping stations, replacing water valves, and installing larger water mains. That's expected to make water main breaks less frequent. But just last month, the village president told us the cost could be much higher.
The rest of the arteries and veins, that particular work, she gave a figure of $49.5 million.
Dixmoor is also getting an additional $4 million to replace more than 300 lead service lines. Teams from Illinois Emergency Management and Illinois Homeland Security will go door to door today to verify and validate any flood damage. They will spend the afternoon visiting the hardest hit areas on the west side of Chicago and the western suburbs. Heavy rain June 29th through July 2nd caused severe basement flooding. The Austin neighborhood saw extensive damage. Right now, a legal battle is brewing between the federal government and Texas. The Justice Department filed a lawsuit against the state after it put up floating barriers. Texas officials say they're using them to stop asylum seekers from illegally coming into the U.S. But the Justice Department says Texas governor didn't have permission to do so. John Lawrence has both sides of the story.
The Lone Star State is ready to rumble with the Justice Department over border security.
And we will take this lawsuit all the way to the United States Supreme Court.
On Monday, the DOJ filed a federal lawsuit against Texas regarding the floating barriers being used in the Rio Grande River.
I support the buoys because they are a deterrent in preventing people from entering the country illegally, but we have to be compassionate in how we handle anyone. I don't care who they are.
The DOJ alleges Republican Texas Governor Greg Abbott violated the Rivers and Harbors Appropriation Act by building the barriers without getting permission from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers.
The only person, the one person that is sowing chaos is Governor Abbott. That's what he continues to do, political stunts in an inhumane way.
Abbott, who has already rejected a DOJ request to remove the barriers, isn't showing signs of backing down. In a letter to President Joe Biden, Abbott wrote, quote, "Texas will see you in court, Mr. President."
He's literally operating in bad faith. That's what this governor is doing. While we're trying to fix and deal with an issue, a broken system, an immigration system that has broken for decades, and he's undermining it.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
Federal government says those floating barriers pose a threat to navigation, public safety, and raise humanitarian concerns. You're watching the stream here on CBS News Chicago. You won't have to worry about a surprise visit from the IRS anymore, but that doesn't mean you're completely off the hook. We'll explain ahead on the stream. And even more troubling details emerging on what players say happened inside locker rooms. Northwestern University. We're learning the allegations are coming from more than baseball and football programs. Right now, there is a $10,000 reward to find the person who killed a well-known community activist's grandson. 16-year-old Rashawn Hood was shot to death Friday night in Auburn, Gresham. His grandfather is Reverend Robin Hood, founder of the group Mothers Opposed to Violence Everywhere. Reverend Hood, who has worked for decades trying to prevent violence.
We have become so numb to gun violence that we all use that as a crutch to say, I'm glad it ain't mine.
The teen was shot near 81st and Racine. Activists say that intersection is especially dangerous. CBS 2 investigators discovered there have been 13 shootings in the surrounding area so far this year. Well, we have new details about what some athletes at Northwestern University say happened in locker rooms and during some practices. And it wasn't just football and baseball programs. The Stream's Chris Ty has a look at the allegations laid out in a newly filed lawsuit. As lawyers say, we can expect dozens of more cases against the school.
Defense that side, offense that side. An hour north of Evanston, this is what was called Camp Kenosha, a summer program where Northwestern football ran drills, devised plays, and according to this lawsuit filed Monday, initiated hazing. During their time at the Kenosha camp, the suit alleges players were subject to naked rope swings, naked pull-ups, naked center and quarterback exchange, naked one-on-one drills, and naked pass rush drill.
I hope that by speaking out, future athletes will be free from the physical, emotional, and psychological trauma that I experienced.
Lloyd Yates was a freshman quarterback in 2015. His lawyers say when an associate head football coach asked a player about his girlfriend, Coach Mack brought Facebook up on the screen and began to search for the girl's profile. In front of the entire position group, Coach Mack went through the Facebook profile of John Doe 2's girlfriend, inquiring of what kind of sexual experiences the two had been engaged in. Northwestern says, we are currently reviewing the claims made against Coach McPherson. We are committed to do whatever is necessary to address hazing-related issues and ensure that our athletic program remains one that our entire community can be proud of.
Northwestern is going to have to seriously consider the unthinkable. They will have to consider canceling football.
Former Sports Illustrated and ESPN college beat writer Lester Munson puts the odds at 30% that Northwestern will cancel the season as scandals grow.
We have other sports indicating a department-wide problem, which puts it in a different category from these other scandals that are precedents for what's going on here.
What started as hazing allegations in football and baseball has expanded now to volleyball. In a separate suit filed Monday, a 2021 player claims she was physically harmed to the point of requiring medical attention. She was retaliated against, she claims, by the coach for reporting mistreatment.
That was our Chris Ty reporting. Northwestern says the 2021 volleyball hazing allegation led to an investigation, the suspension of the team coach and coaching staff, and the university implementing mandatory anti-hazing training. Lawyers for former football coach Pat Fitzgerald say nowhere in these lawsuits is there any new evidence that their client knew any of this was going on. We've reached out to the associate football coach named in that suit and have not heard back. On the Money Watch, FedEx pilots have rejected a proposal, a labor deal, but it does not mean a strike is imminent. The package included a 30% pay raise and an equal boost in pension benefits. The deal was reached in May and endorsed by union leaders, but 50% of the members said no. Major objections from pilots are not clear yet. Even if you are behind on paying your taxes, you probably won't get a surprise visit from the IRS. It's probably a good thing. The agency is ending most unannounced visits out of safety concerns for employees and taxpayers. It's also an attempt to cut down on confusion because scammers have gone to homes posing as IRS officers. Unannounced visits will be replaced by letters asking for meetings. On the Money Watch, Trader Joe's is now recalling 2 types of cookies. The company says its supplier tells them there could be rocks in them. It's the one you see on your screen there, or the dark chocolate almond, or the almond windmill, with sell-by dates of October 17th through 21st. You can either throw them away or take them to Trader Joe's for a full refund. A live look now at Sedona, Arizona, courtesy of EarthCam. The state is one of many dealing with debilitating heat. Beautiful shot there, though. In Phoenix, the high today is expected to reach 118 degrees. The ground is so hot there, people are getting burned from touching it. Stay safe there, friends. Much more ahead. All right, kicking it outside. Live look at Millennium Park there, where you can enjoy an outdoor movie tonight. It's for the Millennium Park Summer Film Series. Gates open at 5 to find a seat at the Pritzker Pavilion there on the lower left of your screen. Tonight's film, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, starts at 6:30. The Summer Film Series happens every Tuesday through August. Tonight's the opening game of the Crosstown Series as the White Sox and the Cubs renew their Red Line rivalry. First pitch is at 7:10 tonight at Guaranteed Rate Field. The Cubs and Sox will play there again tomorrow night. Large crowds are expected, so plan to get there early. Gates will open 90 minutes before the game. The Sox will travel north for 2 games with the Cubs at Wrigley, August 15th and 16th. On the Health Watch, another reason to take care of yourself. Extreme temperatures, especially right now, and air pollution, are linked to an increased risk of fatal heart attacks. That's according to a study in the journal Circulation. Researchers found a 74% increase during 4-day heat waves when temperatures surpass 94 degrees. There's also an increased risk when temperatures drop below 37 degrees for 3 days. Midnight snacks can raise your risk of having a heart attack or stroke. That's a worry for all of us on this shift. The researchers at King's College London, that's what they found. They also found people who snack during the day and chose higher quality foods have higher insulin responses. More than 70% of people say they snack at least twice a day. 2 glasses of non-alcoholic wine may reduce sagging skin for women. Researchers at the University of Florida found wine made from muscadine grapes. I'm going to go with muscadine. Correct me if I'm wrong. Improved skin elasticity, water retention, and smoothness. They saw no difference in the number of wrinkles and caution that drinking wine with alcohol may not produce the same results. Getting down and dirty in the name of the game for hundreds of players in the Swamp Soccer Tournament. The Stream's Ian Lee shows us a new spin on soccer, leaving competitors in a muddy mess.
Scoring is just half the battle in swamp soccer. The other half is not getting stuck. This muddy madness gives playing dirty a whole new meaning.
We get stuck on the swamp and we lose our shoes in the swamp and so on, but we just try to get the ball to the goal.
Every year, more than 100 teams from around the world slip, slide, and dive in the muck in Finland.
It's very good exercise for the fitness.
The grimy game takes true grit, lasting a total of just 20 minutes because, let's face it, any longer and players would probably collapse from exhaustion.
You have to be quite fit because it's really hard, and sometimes you can't run, you have to crawl.
Finland's cross-country ski team came up with the idea in 1998 to train in the off-season. The sport got bogged down in the pandemic, but it's kicking off again. And forget level playing fields here.
You sink in like the whole body and you need to crawl.
Crawl, run, or walk, just as long as you score and have some good, clean fun. Ian Lee, CBS News.
And the women's team from Finland and men's club from Germany took the top prize in the sport this year. You're watching the stream here on CBS News Chicago. We're on 24/7 news when you need it. Ahead, final preparations underway for the return of the Democratic National Convention to Chicago. And local leaders say the DNC is projected to bring thousands of jobs to the city. Those details ahead. Thank you both for joining us here on the stream.
Thank you. Stream whenever you want, wherever you want. We won't judge you. Keep streaming.
When I think about growing up in Evanston, a lot of it is family. It's a real foundational feeling that's never left me. I love the commitment to surviving winter. I love the drive to always be better. I love the passion for our sports teams, taking advantage of those last warm days of summer. There's endless opportunity here to learn about each other. I feel that in this city. And I do still pinch myself when I'm driving in on Kennedy and see the skyline, unless there's terrible traffic.
Here's what you get with your average local news stream. Here's what you get with CBS News Chicago. More breaking live coverage.
A closer look at the inauguration of the new mayor.
More impactful interviews.
Today, we're finding solutions.
More First Alert weather team coverage.
There's all the clouds we've been dealing with all morning long.
More live content when you want it, wherever you are. CBS News Chicago. More of what you're streaming for.
Cutting the cord on cable? Stream CBS 2 News live every day on CBS News.
This is CBS 2 News.
I'm Brad Edwards with the headlines at CBS 2 and CBS News Chicago. First, let's get to meteorologist Ed Curran for today's forecast. Ed, it is hazy. Wow.
Yeah, it is smoky out here. We're taking a look down in the area of McCormick Place is I-55 and South DuSable Lakeshore Drive, and you can see the smoke that's in the air. 75 degrees currently. We do have an air quality alert out until midnight tonight because of the bad air conditions. We're going to have hot and humid weather today, 92 degrees with hazy sunshine. Storms tomorrow could be strong or severe, and 90 degrees. Brad?
All right, Ed, thank you. Now let's get a quick check of your travel times right now. 69 degrees, nearly 70 minutes inbound Kennedy. Other than that, looking okay. A Chicago police officer was shot in the hand during a traffic stop last night. Officers were conducting a traffic stop at 56th and Shields at 7:30 last night. When the people in the car reversed, hitting a police car, the officers started shooting with one shot in the hand. That officer is now in good condition. The people in the car got away. Illinois leaders are laying out more plans ahead of next year's Democratic National Convention in Chicago. The DNC chair, along with Governor J.B. Pritzker, Mayor Brandon Johnson, and local labor leaders will sign the 2024 Convention Labor Agreement this morning at 10. Governor Pritzker said the convention will bring thousands of labor-friendly jobs to Chicago. I'm Brad Edwards of CBS News Chicago. Stream is always on Pluto TV. We're live there right now. Join us and have a great morning.
This is CBS 2 News.
Right now at 8, a Chicago police officer is shot. The suspect still on the loose. We're gathering new details into what went wrong during a traffic stop in Englewood. Plus, loitering, littering, parties, and more. Residents are sharing their frustrations after a migrant shelter moved into the neighborhood. We're digging into their complaints and how city leaders are responding. And we are under another air quality alert right now in Illinois and northwest Indiana. So we'll be seeing that smoky sunshine throughout the day. Our friend Ed Curran tracking some muggy weather and scattered storm potentials also later tonight. He's got a full plate for you. Good Tuesday morning to you. It is July 25th, 2023. I'm Brad Edwards. Thank you for streaming with us here on CBS News Chicago. Breaking news, Chicago police officer is recovering after getting shot during a traffic stop in Englewood last night. Police are now looking for the people who were in that car. The Stream's Mugo Odigwe is outside police headquarters to explain. Mugo.
Yeah, so we know that officer was shot in the hand, but right now, as the investigation continues, it's still not clear how or who shot the officer. Here is what we do know so far, though. This happened around 7:30 last night in Englewood near 56th and Shields. Police tell us officers were conducting a traffic stop. They still haven't said why or what led up to that stop, but we're told the people in the car, instead of stopping, they reversed, hitting a police car, and that is when the officers on the scene fired shots. The people in that car were able to get away. We're told they drove away from the scene. In the end, though, one of the officers was shot in the hand and taken to the hospital in good condition. Listen as a witness describes what they saw and heard.
As I got in the car, here come 5 police cars coming down the street, zooming down the street. So I'm like, man, what's going on? All of a sudden they jumped out. One of the police officers hollered out, and then next thing you know, it was boom, boom.
Again, we're told that officer is in good condition and police are still searching for the people inside that car that drove away. Now, we're told there's also a second scene near 91st and Princeton involving a crash. That scene was just a few miles away from the first incident where the shooting happened, but right now police are not saying if both are connected. Outside CPD headquarters, Mugo Odigwe, CBS 2 News.
10-year-old boy is accused of firing a gun at police officers during a tense standoff on Chicago's South Side. Police say the child suffered a mental health episode, got his hands on a gun at his Beverly home. We're told the boy fired several rounds inside the home, then came outside and shot at police. Officers eventually arrested him.
The 10-year-old was standing on the porch. The individual got scared, threw the gun, and they were able to detain him without incident at that point.
10-year-old was taken to the hospital for evaluation. No injuries were reported in that shooting. And we're following breaking news from 81st and Exchange. Chicago police are investigating a 1-month-old baby and found unresponsive. Police say someone went to check on the sleeping baby and found he was not breathing. Paramedics rushed the baby to the hospital. He was pronounced dead. Chicago firefighters arrived at the house, detected a gas leak from the kitchen stove. They called People's Gas to inspect the lines. It's not clear if the gas leak is to blame for the little boy's death. And now we kick it out to a live look outside right now, and there you can see Chicago looking pretty this morning. The bean all shiny in the lower right. Pritzker Pavilion. Gonna watch a movie tonight. Or are you? Meteorologist Ed Curran is in the First Alert Weather Center now for a check of your forecast. I mean, that air quality is pretty serious and probably going to linger into the evening, Ed?
Yeah, we're going to have smoke in the air into the evening, but a lot of the heavier smoke we're expecting will move to the east of us as we head later on in the day. But some of it might linger, and it's giving us some hazy sunshine. This is kind of the definition of hazy sunshine, isn't it? If it wasn't for the smoke, you'd have nice clear skies and nice bright sunshine. Instead, the sun is being filtered through the smoke that's in the air, dimming the sunshine a little bit. And if the smoke hangs around long enough into the afternoon, it could bring the temperatures down a little bit during the afternoon hours. 75 degrees at O'Hare, 74 degrees at Midway currently with very light winds. We have 75 at O'Hare, but 76 at the Loop and 70 at Aurora, 71 at Ottawa. Ottawa, and at Rensselaer, 68 degrees. Valparaiso has 70 degrees right now. Clouds and radar show you not a lot going on here, except for the smoke that is lingering through the area. And that is depicted here by an air quality alert that's in effect until midnight. Air quality warning with the smoke that's hitting us here and from southern Wisconsin all the way around the lake into Michigan as well. This smoke diving out of the northwest where there are many wildfires up in Canada feeding that smoke down here. You can see the smoke obscuring the skyline a bit as we look north from 35th and the Ryan. Today's temperatures low 90s, about 92 degrees at O'Hare is what we're looking for, with higher humidity levels than what we've seen recently, so it'll feel even warmer. Tonight, 74 degrees, hazy conditions continue with warm temperatures. Tomorrow, 90 degrees and humid, and the chance for storms now and then throughout the day, and some of those storms could be strong or severe. We have high humidity levels to help fuel those storms as we go into tomorrow, as you can see here, and then it finally drops off later in the week. But that humidity helps fuel storms that could be severe. We have a level 2 out of 5 risk for severe storms here in the Chicago area, and as you go from Porter County on to the east, a higher level, level 3 out of 5, mostly for wind damage. There's a tiny tornado chance. There could be hail as well. So stay in touch with us. Stay in touch with the weather tomorrow with these storms. That's why we have an alert turned on for Wednesday, your first alert, warning you that tomorrow could be a bit of a rough day at times. Thursday, 94 and humid. Friday, 94 and humid. And then temperatures turn the other way. We become more comfortable. Temps in the 80s and a pretty decent weekend ahead, Brad.
Okay, we like that, at least the weekend. Thank you, Ed. Chicago police hope someone will recognize this vehicle used in a deadly shooting outside a bank in the Grand Crossing neighborhood. A man was shot and killed near 78th and the State just after 11 Monday morning. The vehicle was no front license plate and a piece of paper in the rear window. No one in custody. If you have information, give Chicago police a call. We now know a propane grill is to blame for this damage. A lot of damage at a home in Hampshire in the far northwest suburbs. From Chopper 2, you can see the back deck where the grill caught fire and flames quickly spread to the attic. This started just after 4 Monday afternoon. 2 people, including a Hampshire police officer, were taken to a hospital for smoke inhalation. The fire caused more than $100,000 in damage. Confrontations, frustration, and anger all on display during a meeting about problems at a Woodlawn migrant shelter. About 200 people attended the meeting at the Apostolic Church of God in Woodlawn. They told city leaders about issues like loitering, littering, partying, prostitution, and even a fight taking place in the area around the shelter in the old Wadsworth grade school.
I would ask you all to go out there at night, in the middle of the night, and see what goes on.
They disrespect us, they rob us, they harass us.
The people who are keeping up the trouble are the people who are kicked out of the damn shelter.
20th Ward Alderwoman Jeanette Taylor organized a meeting. City leaders say they are taking steps to address the problem, but residents say they are skeptical. Nurses will be marching outside Jackson Park Hospital today at noon to demand safer staffing in order to offer better care to patients. The union is holding an informational picket today outside the hospital. That's at 75th and Stony Island. Registered nurses say short staffing is contributing to a high turnover rate, which also has them caring for more than twice the number of recommended patients. They claim the hospital is also staffing temporary nurses rather than hiring union nurses. The union has been working without a contract since June 30th. We asked hospital for comment, but they have not yet heard back. A warm welcome for Vice President Kamala Harris. She spoke during the final days of Unidos conference here in Chicago. That happened on Monday. It's an annual gathering of Latinos and allies working together to promote civil rights.
Diversity in our nation is not a weakness or an afterthought, but instead our greatest strength.
The Vice President also called on Congress to provide a path to citizenship for so-called dreamers. Those are people who came to the U.S. as undocumented immigrant children. You're watching the stream here on CBS News Chicago. Ahead, the record-setting heat wave continues across much of the U.S. with no relief in sight. The high temps in the Southwest are coming to the Midwest now. What you can expect. Plus, we're learning more about allegations of hazing in sports other than football at Northwestern. A volleyball player has just filed suit against the university. Details next. Well, there are new accusations of hazing at Northwestern University. The volleyball player became the first female athlete to sue the school, claiming the athletics program was rife with bullying and physical punishment. That announcement comes as the school is slapped with a fourth lawsuit filed by a former football player.
I hope that by speaking out, future athletes will be free from the physical, emotional, and psychological trauma that I experienced as a collegiate athlete at Northwestern University.
Former quarterback Lloyd Yates spoke about the abuse he suffered during his time in the football program. Yates alleges he was the frequent target of locker room harassment and unwanted sexual contact. The lawsuit claims he was hazing was so widespread, even assistant coaches were targeted. Yates' attorney, Benjamin Crump, says he plans to file more than 30 lawsuits on behalf of former NU players. Two Cook County Sheriff's officers are out of a job after getting caught stealing from a River North bar. The Sheriff's Office says they were contacted on July 12th about two officers removing a NASCAR banner from Mother Hubbard's sports bar. The office immediately launched an investigation. 2 days later, the officers resigned. They had just joined the force last year. Only on two, a community organization in Bronzeville celebrates traffic safety improvements made at the intersection in front of their building. They've spent years fighting for that change. 51st and Prairie is now a four-way stop. It comes after the nonprofit Urban Juncture began documenting crash after crash and even alerted their alderman Pat Jowell back in 2018. We first told you about the organization's calls for a four-way stop in March, just days after a car plowed through the lower level of their building. After years of sounding the alarm, construction began earlier this month and turned 51st and Prairie from a two-way to a four-way stop.
Pedestrian safety is
extremely critical, especially at this intersection, and small things can make a really big difference.
Following our story in March, the Alderman's office told us that a traffic study would be conducted. Alderman Dowell's office says CDOT recommended the four-way stop in April. No relief in sight for much of the country dealing with a record heat wave. Arizona is entering what's expected to be its 26th straight day of temperatures above 110. Almost 110 degrees. Imagine that. CBS's Jared Hill explains why experts worry these stretches of extreme heat could be the new norm.
Arizona's capital city hasn't dropped below 90 degrees in weeks.
It's miserable.
Phoenix is quickly racing to a new national record, the first U.S. city to average over 100 degrees for an entire month. The heat wave is forcing schools like this one in Tempe to figure out new ways to cope.
We've required several cool zone spaces at every one of our campuses.
Experts warn it's not just the air that's a concern, but surface temperatures can get dangerously hot. Doctors say quick contact can cause first-degree burns at 118 degrees, blisters at 131. Skin tissue can even be destroyed instantly at 162 degrees. In Arizona, surface temperatures can reach 180. In South Carolina, the heat is hitting the food truck industry, some canceling service because the temperature outside makes it unbearable inside, even with AC.
Keep a thermometer there, and sometimes it's 119 degrees.
The heat wave scorching the South is now spreading to the Midwest. Hot, dry weather in Minnesota is taking a toll on some crops.
My cucumber are not supposed to look like this.
Scientists argue we're seeing heat that would not be possible without climate change.
It's not really rocket science. If you're going to overheat the planet, you're going to get hotter temperatures.
Extreme heat is blamed for at least 5 deaths at national parks so far this year. Jared Hill, CBS News.
And the National Weather Service says that the excessive heat in southern Arizona and California is expected to stretch throughout at least a week. As we keep an eye on your world this Tuesday, the Biden administration and Texas are now locked in a legal battle over a floating barrier in the Rio Grande. The Justice Department filed a lawsuit to force Texas to remove the buoys. White House says the structures are inhumane and violate federal law. Texas put up the barrier to keep migrants from crossing into the Lone Star State. Governor Greg Abbott says he'll take his fight to keep the buoys in place all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. Protests in Israel intensified after the government approved the first major law in Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's plan to take power away from the country's Supreme Court. President Joe Biden had called the bill divisive, urged Netanyahu not to go ahead. More than 10,000 Israeli military reservists threatened to refuse to serve if the amendment is passed. Back here at home, a Bronzeville restaurant is back open and expecting a surge of customers. That after being closed following a visit from billionaire and mogul Jay-Z. He stopped by the black-owned Bronzeville Soul while supporting Beyonce during her shows at Soldier Field this weekend. The Stream Sade Gray spoke to owners about how the rapper found their restaurant in the first place.
Beyonce wasn't the only one causing a buzz in Chicago. Her well-known husband, Jay-Z, was at Bronzeville Soul this weekend. Mario Coleman and Angie Price own the business. Price says she talked his presence into existence.
Beyonce concert is in town, this weekend. Wouldn't it be great if they came to the restaurant and lo and behold, yes, it happened.
Jay-Z walked in. I couldn't believe it was him. Actually, when I first saw him, I didn't think it was him. I thought maybe it was someone else acting like Jay-Z.
But once he specifically asked for short rib and pound cake,
kind of messed me up that he had even known to ask for it. And so by him asking for it, it's just like, well, man, wow, Jay-Z knows about Bronzeville Souls.
So out of all of the restaurants in Chicago, why did Jay-Z pick Bronzeville Soul? Mario Coleman says Jay-Z specifically told him it was word of mouth.
His actual words to me was, once he saw looked us up or whatever, and he saw it was a black business, he did tell me that he wanted to support black business, And he said, that's why I'm here. He said, and they say the food is good.
Not only did customers inside get to take pictures with the worldwide known rapper, but Coleman made sure 14-year-old Aaliyah Thompson knew he was sitting outside the restaurant.
Then it was like Jay-Z up in there, but I didn't believe him. And then when I actually seen him, I was shocked. Where you down the window?
After he rolled down his window, the teen said,
It's like, where Beyonce at?
She also told him her birthday is July 24th and asked for a picture.
I feel like this, I'll remember this my whole life. Like, I got a picture with Jay-Z.
Creating a memorable birthday while boosting business. Reporting in Bronzeville, Sade Gray, CBS 2 News.
And now to sports. The Bears give some positive injury news just 24 hours after giving some bad news about that very same player. Marshall Harris has that.
Justin Fields talking his talk before he and the Bears report for training camp Tuesday. The QB says he believes he can go from 2,200 yards passing last year to 4,000 yards this season. Now, it appears Fields will have a full complement of offensive weapons ready to help him fulfill that promise. The Bears have taken receiver Chase Claypool off the physically unable to perform list just one day after putting him on it. Claypool missed OTAs and minicamp with injuries, along with new #1 receiver G.J. Moore and Darnell Mooney. Claypool, he certainly gives Fields options. According to Northwestern President Michael Schill, Athletic Director Derek Gragg's job is not in jeopardy. Schill telling the Daily Northwestern he's supporting Gragg, pointing to the fact that the AD is new to the university and that most of the alleged activities took place before his arrival. It's the first interview Schill has granted since Pat Fitzgerald's firing. Northern Illinois football media day at Harry Carey's. Head coach Thomas Hammock trying to lead his team to a bounce back after a 3-9 season last year. Now, Hammock's 5th season at the helm brings his most experienced team. 17 returning starters. That includes quarterback Rocky Lombardi, who led the team to the MAC title just 2 seasons ago before a leg injury cost him all but 4 games last year. Well, you know the expression, earn your stripes? The Illini debuting new football uniforms for 2023, including the return of triple color stripes on each shoulder of the jersey and the side of the pants. They hadn't had stripes on the jerseys since going back to basics back in 2018. This, of course, all ahead of Big Ten Media Day Wednesday in Indianapolis. That'll be the first time anyone from Northwestern has taken questions since Pat Fitzgerald was fired. So a big day. I'll be down there for that.
And we look forward to that. A live look now at one of the most rapidly growing tourist destinations, a volcano eruption site in Iceland. You can see the name of the site at the bottom of your screen. I don't even know if I'm going to try that. All right, here we go. So it is Litli Hrútur. Litli Hrútur. Yeah, that translates to little ram, Litli Hrútur. Maybe I'll throw that in. That makes it sounds like I know what I'm talking about. That's in Iceland there. Lava has been flowing from the baby volcano. Is there even such thing? For 2 weeks now after being dormant for 800 years. What a sight. Thank you both for joining us here on the stream.
Thank you. Stream whenever you want, wherever you want. We won't judge you. Keep streaming.
When I think about growing up in Evanston, a lot of it is family. It's a real foundational feeling that's never left me. I love the commitment to surviving winter. I love the drive to always be better. I love the passion for our sports teams, taking advantage of those last warm days of summer. There's endless opportunity here to learn about each other. I feel that in this city. And I do still pinch myself when I'm driving in on Kennedy and see the skyline, unless there's terrible traffic.
Here's what you get with your average local news stream. Here's what you get with CBS News Chicago. More breaking live coverage.
A closer look at the inauguration of the new mayor.
More impactful interviews.
Today, we're finding solutions.
More First Alert weather team coverage.
There's all the clouds we've been dealing with all morning long.
More live content when you want it, wherever you are. CBS News Chicago. More of what you're streaming for.
Cutting the cord on cable? Stream CBS 2 News live every day on CBS News Chicago.
I want you to find.
I believe in not just talking about change, but being part of the change. And how I think you do that is you impact our youth. You'll find me all the time out in the community. You'll find me mentoring. You'll find me there hoping to inspire
This is CBS 2 News.
I'm Brad Edwards with your headlines on CBS 2 and CBS News Chicago. Let's first get to meteorologist Ed Curran for today's forecast. Good morning, Ed.
Morning, Brad. Smoky skies lead to hazy sunshine in Chicago and 75 degrees. Light south wind currently. We do have an air quality alert throughout the entire area in the northwest Indiana, all the way into Michigan and southern Wisconsin as well. For today, smoke in the air, hazy sunshine, 92 degrees. Tomorrow, the chance for strong to even severe storms with a high of 90 degrees. Brad?
All right, let's get a check of your travel times right now. Thank you, Ed, as you head out the door this morning. And everything looking pretty good out there, except for the Kennedy, as per 67 minutes inbound. Breaking news from 81st and Exchange, where Chicago police are investigating the death of a 1-month-old baby. Police say someone went to check on the sleeping baby and found he was not breathing. Chicago firefighters detected a gas leak from the kitchen stove and shut off the gas. It's not clear that gas leak is to blame for the baby's death. Teams from Illinois Emergency Management and Illinois Homeland Security will go door to door today to verify and validate flood damage. They will spend the afternoon visiting the hardest hit areas in the west side of Chicago and the western burbs. Heavy rain June 29th through July 2nd caused severe basement flooding. The Austin neighborhood saw extensive damage. And a lack of wind made this a long and drawn out version of the annual race to Mackinac at midnight. More than 24 boats were still stalled, moving slowly. All the boaters finished or retired from the competition. We just learned before 7 this morning that afternoon is the big sailors celebration on Mackinac Island. Have one for us. I'm Brad Edwards. Get your local news updates anytime in our digital streaming network. We're there live right now. Good morning, Daily Plaza.
This is CBS 2 News.
And good morning to you. Today is Tuesday, July 25th, 2023. Thank you for streaming with us. I'm Brad Edwards. Now to a breaking news update. Chicago police are still looking for people who were in a car during a police-involved shooting. This happened in Englewood around 7:30 last night. You can see this heavy police presence near 56th and Shields. Police say officers were doing a traffic stop when people in the car reversed, hitting the car. Officers fired shots, and that car drove away. One officer was shot in the hand and taken to the hospital in good condition. And CBS meteorologist Ed Curran now is in the First Alert Weather Center for a check of your forecast. But before we do that, we're going to go to one of our favorite news segments, Ed's Bird Cam. Ed, what do you have for us today?
This guy's a purple finch, and just, none of the drama of yesterday where we had the cardinal fighting off the other bird that wanted to eat there. The purple finch, who would not move to the center of the screen. I put a little X on the bottom of the feeder so he'd move over, but he wouldn't do it. A cute bird, has the purple markings, the reddish markings. Yeah. The female does not, and the female is kind of sparrowish looking, kind of brown like the side of this bird, and has a white stripe above its eye. That's how you tell the female purple finch. But gorgeous little bird.
I mean, we got to even
hear him. Yeah, we got to hear him there. It was kind of cool.
So is that a GoPro? What kind of camera is that gets to sound like that?
It's just pretty much what it is a security camera that's built into a feeder.
Oh, okay. That's brilliant. That's why they call you Mr. Techno Gadgets.
Well, and it just it goes off when it senses motion.
Oh, that's fantastic. So, and the purple, not truly purple, kind of raspberry purplish, right?
If you're concerned about the palette of the bird, yes.
You're a hair colorist. I know, because I know you had purple hair in the 70s, right? During your whole class phase.
Until, just a couple of years ago.
Well, I thought until like a week and a half ago, right?
Yeah, I was doing that Jim Peter kind of thing,
yeah, exactly.
You hit 67, you're like, how do I make myself contemporary?
Right, okay, buy it. I see him driving a Corvette and purple hair one day, Okay. All right, Ed, take it away. What do you got weather-wise?
Like Jim Peterick says, when he was really out there and a rocker all the time and everything, he was like the nerdiest guy in the block. And they got to a certain age, and he's like, "Hey, come on, I got to step it up."
Up the game.
Well, all of a sudden you're wearing a leopard print and purple hair. Taking a look down here toward McCormick Place. This is the Stevenson where it comes into DuSable Lakeshore Drive, and this kind of a long throw shot, but it really gives you an idea of the smoke that we have in the air. We have smoke that's in the air obscuring our view in some places. You can see it down here as we look just to North Avenue from the Hancock. So that's not a real long distance, and you can see that we have the smoke that's out there. So hazy sunshine, 75 degrees at O'Hare, 74 degrees at Midway Airport. We have 70 in Aurora, 73 in Joliet, 71 in Kankakee, 73 in Waukegan. Valparaiso has 70, and so does Rensselaer. Hardly a cloud out there, but plenty of smoke to get in the way, and that's what you see. Instead of a blue sky, you see the milky white sky with the sun coming through it. Air quality alert is up throughout the entire area from southern Wisconsin all the way up into Michigan as that Canadian wildfire smoke comes riding down into Chicago. You see the skyline obscured here from Guaranteed Rate Field. Temperatures in the low 90s today with sunny skies for the most part, but the smoke making it hazy sunshine, knocking it down. It should improve a little bit as we head later in the afternoon hours. 74 degrees tonight, hazy, warm, scattered storms possible, and we have chances for storms tomorrow with 90 degrees for a high and very humid. Level 2 out of 5. The risk for severe storms tomorrow in the yellow area. And to the east of us, from about Porter County on east, you're looking at level 3 out of 5 for a risk of severe storms. So after tomorrow's storms, we have 94 on Thursday, 94 Friday, and then cooler weather, more reasonable, seasonable weather as we go into the weekend. Brad?
All right, Ed, thank you. Right now, there is a $10,000 reward to find the person that killed a well-known community activist grandson. 16-year-old Rashawn Hood was shot to death Friday night in Auburn Gresham. His grandfather is the Reverend Robin Hood, founder of the group Mothers Opposed to Violence Everywhere. Reverend Hood has worked for decades trying to prevent violence.
We have become so numb to gun violence that we all use that as a crutch to say, I'm glad it ain't mine.
The teen was shot near 81st and Racine. Activists say that intersection is especially dangerous. The CBS 2 investigators discovered there have been 13 shootings in that surrounding area so far this year. Our state is handing over $14 million to help fix water problems in South suburban Dixmoor. We've been tracking issues there for years. Here's a look at the villages handing out water back in February, bottled water. A water main break left residents then without safe drinking water. It's just one of several major water main breaks the village has struggled with recently. Monday, the state announced its funding plans. $10 million will go towards improving pumping stations, replacing water valves, and installing larger water mains. It's expected to make water main breaks less frequent. Just this month, the village president told us the cost, though, could be much higher.
The rest of the arteries and veins, that particular work, she gave a figure of $49.5 million.
Dixmoor is also getting an additional $4 million to replace more than 300 lead service line. Tonight is the opening game of the Crosstown Classic as the White Sox and Cubs renew their red line rivalry. First pitch is at 7:10 tonight at Guaranteed Rate Field. The Cubs and Sox will play there again tomorrow night. Large crowds are expected, so plan to get there early. Gates will open 90 minutes before game time. The Sox will travel north for 2 games with the Cubs at Wrigley, August 15th and 16th. Happening today, Illinois leaders are laying out more plans ahead of next year's Democratic National Convention in Chicago. The DNC chair, along with Governor J.B. Pritzker, Mayor Brandon Johnson, local labor leaders will finalize and sign the 2024 convention labor agreement. Governor Pritzker has said the convention will bring thousands of labor-friendly jobs to Chicago. That event starts at 10 a.m. Live look right now at Millennium Park, where you can enjoy an outdoor movie tonight. It's for the Millennium Park Summer Film Series. Gates open at 5. And to find a seat at Pritzker Pavilion or the Great Lawn, tonight's film Black Panther, Wakanda Forever starts at 6:30. Summer Film Series happens every Tuesday through August. You're watching the stream here on CBS News Chicago. Keep it right here. Still to come, new controversy over one of Illinois' biggest economic drivers. See how the push towards electric vehicles could be harmful to the state's booming corn industry. I'm Brad Edwards. Welcome back to the stream. We appreciate you joining us here. Now to a heated debate unfolding right here in Illinois. corn-powered vehicles versus electric vehicles. Well, kinda. It's a little more complicated than that. Illinois produces the second highest amount of corn in the United States, and a lot of corn becomes gas. But one group says that lucrative industry is being threatened by a Biden administration policy focusing more towards electric vehicles. Earlier this month, the Illinois Corn Growers Association joined forces with over 90 transportation groups to urge the Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, to reconsider a tailpipe emissions rule. Joining me now, someone who's covered this issue, Axios reporter covering the ongoing corn face-off, Monica Ng. Monica, appreciate all your work. Thank you for joining us. Monica, you're watching this closely. On the surface level, you hear reducing emissions. That sounds like a good thing. So why is this a big deal for corn farmers? Maybe we start, the viewers at home kind of give us a 101 layout, lowest common denominator. What does corn have to do with fuel and emissions anyway?
So since 1990, as part of the Clean Air Act, certain areas with high carbon emissions needed to start using E10, which is a high octane fuel that has a blend of 10% ethanol in it that is made with corn. And that has been very lucrative for corn farmers. In Illinois, if you go through cornfields, you might think, oh, this is stuff that's going to end up on my plate as sweet corn. Only 1% of that ends up on your plate as sweet corn. The rest goes to animal feed and to gas. And so this has been this requirement to blend 10% into gas has been great for corn farmers. But they say that if the EPA rules go through, that they're going to lose the sale of about a billion bushels of corn over 10 years.
Wow. So there's a huge push by the EPA, obviously, to move forward with electric. We're seeing it with the banning of gas appliances in some states. Now they want to move towards mostly EVs, electric vehicles, by 2032. Governor Pritzker is on board, too. So how can Illinois go green without hurting corn farmers? And, as you put it, I mean, it is one of the largest industries here in the state. How do you balance the two, or can you?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, probably billion-dollar question. Yeah, Illinois is the #2 corn producer in the nation, just behind Iowa. And so what they're asking the EPA and the White House to do is to say, okay, you're right, we're going to have to use EVs to hit these emissions goals mostly, but can we also use this higher octane gas that would have even more ethanol in it that they say, runs cleaner and burns cleaner? So I took that claim to one of the experts that our automotive writer Joanne Mueller uses, and I said, could you take this claim to one of your experts and let me know, do you think that its higher octane gas could help achieve these emission standards? And his name is Samuel Abul Samid, and he said, well, I've long been a proponent of mixed technologies. I personally think the era of ethanol, particularly from corn, has largely passed. It's become clear that it's not going to provide the degree of decarbonization required to meet climate goals, particularly for ground transportation. So I'm not an expert on it, but when I consulted experts, they don't think that we're going to be able to hit these emissions goals by just using higher octane gas, and that maybe, it's time to phase out the ethanol transition, which was supposed to be a transition between, regular gasoline and EVs.
Yeah, so I mean, for a long story short there, the corn industry would say that corn turns into ethanol. That's a good thing when it comes to carbon emissions, but you said you've consulted kind of your experts. I consulted the internet, and it appears that there's a lot of science that kind of argues the other way. So here you've got these two warring factions that are going to say, whatever they want. You've got the EV industry wanting one thing, you've got the corn people wanting the other. So corn growers say they're committed to reducing greenhouse gas emissions, but they also say the EPA is too hyper-focused on electronic vehicles as this all-encompassing solution to climate change. Your look at it, is there any compromise here?
I think that is what's going to happen. I mean, we do have an election coming up. And as you probably know, especially during the Iowa primaries, every candidate who used to be against ethanol subsidies is suddenly really on board with supporting ethanol subsidies again. So it'll be very interesting to see as we get closer to the Iowa caucuses and to the election, where this goes in terms of possibly alienating big corn states, and I think there may be a compromise in the works. What the EPA Administrator Michael Regan said was he's open to looking at all sorts of carbon reducing policies to achieve this emissions goal. So it may not be 100% EVs. There may be all sorts of things, and possibly that high octane bill that Sherry Bustos pushed to get cleaner burning fuel that has more ethanol made with corn.
Quick final question for you next. What's next for the corn growers here in Illinois? Will they go to court? What does the corn industry look like if it does go all EV? They're going to have to think of an option B, right?
Well, what they did is over the last month, they've really pushed their supporters to write in during the comment period on these rules. When the EPA proposes rules, they have a comment period where the public can write in and say, here's what I think of it. That ended on July 5th. The corn growers tell me that a lot of people, they didn't tell me the number, but they said a lot of people wrote in. And now the EPA has until March to come up with its final rules for what are called light vehicles. So there'll be all cars, excluding trucks. By about March 24th, they believe they'll have those. I think there's going to be a lot of horse trading, a lot of negotiating, a lot of discussions before then.
Yeah, that's typically what happens. So your take of it is the corn growers are going all in on this. By no means are they raising the white flag yet.
Well, they tell me that they're continually concerned about the rule, but they're continually working on it.
Okay.
The proposed rule, I should say. The proposed rule.
Proposed rule. Monica Ng, reporter with Axios. Always appreciate your work and appreciate you joining us right now here on the stream on CBS News Chicago. Thank you, Monica.
Thank you.
A Chicago couple in their 70s saddled with an $80,000 water bill. We told you about the ridiculous scenario earlier this month, and after CBS 2 started asking questions, almost $70,000 of that bill was wiped away. So what happened? City officials won't say. They never do. But as the stream's Lauren Victory found out, city documents reveal a shocking story.
Yes, the meter is working. Yeah.
In cell phone video and in CBS 2 footage.
And you said the valves are working just fine.
Yeah, the valves work, yeah. Chicago Department of Water Management crews assure Andrea Garner.
It looks like everything is working fine.
Yes.
They installed a new water meter anyway after CBS 2 raised the alarm to city higher-ups about Garner's elderly parents and the $80,000 water bill that hit them right as they were about to sell this Roseland 3 flat.
It was like deer in headlights and a complete freeze of everything, like a complete shock. What do we do?
That was July 12th. By the 14th, the city removed $69,352.
Well, it was definitely a sigh of relief.
And frustrating. Garner got no explanation for the fix, though to her, it's obvious.
They're realizing that the error was either with their equipment or how the meter was reading accurate usage. So the problem lies there.
It must, because repair crews took her old water meter in for testing, and the results that just came back are confusing to say the least. A week-by-week log of meter readings shows 0 water usage on some entries. Other times, the report came back at 6 million gallons used in a week. That amount is equal to 9 Olympic-sized swimming pools. Who goes through that much water in 7 days? Again, we're talking about a 3-unit building. The Garners say 2 of the apartments were often vacant. So it's also puzzling that this hourly log shows 4 million gallons used between 11 a.m. and noon one day in January. That'd be like boiling 2 million pots of water for a pasta lunch. Garner's noodle isn't the only one about to burst.
It's impossible.
That's the voice of a flabbergasted utility billing customer service rep. The conversation with this city employee continued.
You're absolutely positive that there's no way we use $80,000 worth of water?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
I
can't
clarify that. Do you know how much water that is, Miss Linda?
A lake, an ocean.
Thank you. It's not an ocean. It could be a lake.
CBS 2 played the phone call for Alderman Gilbert Villegas. In the end, Garner was told to be patient.
Are we the city that works? I mean, that's a lot of bureaucracy there. You would think that someone would come in or maybe take it to the manager to say, hey, there's a problem here. Let's figure this out.
As a reminder, the $80,000 balance eventually got knocked down to $11,000. But the Garner's logs don't make sense. So how can their bills be valid?
Why isn't there a system that kind of monitors, hey, you know what, last month you had a $600 bill, this month you have a $5,000 bill. Us being proactive, saying, hey, what's going on over there?
One of many questions Villegas plans to ask at City Hall at an August 31st hearing about water bills. Garner plans to testify.
Just fighting against a broken system. For me, it is much bigger than just my parents' account.
Lauren Victory, CBS 2 News.
Hardly a cloud in the sky, but a lot of smoke in the sky that we're putting up with. Air quality alert, air quality warning until midnight tonight all around Lake Michigan with that smoke that's come down through our area. You can see it here as we look from Guaranteed Rate Field. Today's temperatures with more humidity climb to low 90s, about 92 degrees. Should be about 85 this time of year, so we're on the hot side. Smoky sunshine, hot, humid conditions. Tonight we stay very warm, 74 degrees, and we hang on to the smoke in the air. And tomorrow we have a chance for storms, 90 degrees, figure in the humidity. And when you factor that in, it feels like about 100 degrees or so for tomorrow with storms that could be on the severe level. A lot of humidity around here tomorrow feeding those storms. And we're looking at a level 2 out of 5 for severe storms here throughout the Chicago area. As you get to Porter County and areas east, you're looking at a higher level, level 3 out of 5. And the main concern, wind damage. There is a tiny tornado risk as well. So 92 today, 90 tomorrow with storms. Then the mid-90s for Thursday and Friday. And then with some storms on Friday, we bring in cooler air. And we're in the mid-80s and lower 80s by the time we get to Monday. Brad?
Ed, thank you.
Chicago's first local news stream is now CBS News Chicago. Stream your trusted CBS Chicago team for breaking news and weather live in real time on the CBS Chicago app and on Pluto TV.
You're streaming CBS News Chicago. I'm Jim Williams. Here are your top
Streaming when you should be sleeping? We won't judge you. Keep streaming.
Chicago is real. The people here are real, and they want their news to be real, I think.
We are doing something for our own community.
They're all busy. They're giving us a valuable resource, their time, and the trust they have in us to deliver the day's news in a real way. Laugh when you can, be serious when you need to. And that's alive and well on our set. We all get along great. We enjoy working with each other. You can't hide that, and it's on display every night.
Here's what you get with your average local news stream. Here's what you get with CBS News Chicago. More breaking live coverage.
A closer look at the inauguration of the new mayor.
More impactful interviews.
Today, we're finding solutions.
More First Alert weather team coverage.
Here's all the clouds we've been dealing with all morning long.
More live content when you want it, wherever you are. CBS News Chicago. More of what you're streaming for.
At the CBS Evening News, we focus on solutions. We look at a story and we say, how do we make it relevant to people's lives? So this is what we eat to live longer. Finding solutions, giving people context and depth, how much money we can spend on groceries, finding solutions to healthcare problems.
Based on all the doctors that you've spoken with, what should parents know?
Finding solutions to help people understand what are the right choices to make for your family.
The CBS Evening News with Nora O'Donnell on CBS.
I was born and raised on Chicago's South Side. I live within minutes of where I was raised. I think the most important thing to understand about Chicago is that it's not any one thing. I think we have an obligation as a news organization to provide a complete portrait of the city we serve. People want to know everything that's going on in a community, and that includes those good stories. That's what I see when I go to a place like the South Side. That's what I see when I go to the West Side. I know they exist, and we should bring
This is CBS 2 News.
Good morning and good to be with you. I'm Audrina Sinclair.
And I'm Ryan Baker. Let's get to meteorologist Laura Bannon for a check of our forecast on this Tuesday. Hot, humid, and still hazy out there.
Hazy skies. Yeah, we're going to see that all day long. Air quality alert in effect until midnight tonight in northeast corner of Illinois, southern Wisconsin, and into northwest Indiana. That's where that wildfire smoke will hold out a little while longer, lasting into tonight, actually. Upper 70s now, getting close to 80 degrees. Highs today, low 90s. A hot, humid day with the hazy sunshine. Tonight, a low chance for rain. We have some scattered showers and thunderstorms to talk about tomorrow. More on that in an hour-by-hour timeline coming up in your news at 9.
Laura, thank you. Happening today, Illinois leaders are laying out more plans ahead of next summer's Democratic National Convention being held here in Chicago at the United Center. The DNC chair, along with Governor J.B. Pritzker, Mayor Brandon Johnson, and local labor leaders will finalize and sign the 2024 Convention Labor Agreement. Governor Pritzker has said the convention will bring thousands of labor-friendly jobs to Chicago. That signing starts at 10 a.m.
Still lots of questions this morning after a Chicago police officer was shot last night. What we know is officers were conducting a traffic stop at 56 and Shields around 7:30 when the people in the car reversed, hitting a police car. The officers started shooting. One officer was hit in the hand. He's in good condition. The people in the car got away. We are live at 9 with the latest on this investigation and what started the traffic stop to begin with. Also ahead at 9, a national monument honoring Emmett Till and Mamie Till Mobley. President Biden will designate 3 sites today, including the Bronzeville Church, where Till was laid to rest.
And today is World Drowning Prevention Day. We'll head to a local swim school where water safety is always top of mind. All those stories and more coming up next on our 9 a.m. newscast. I'm Ryan Baker.
And I'm Audrina Sinclair. We'll see you right back here in 3 minutes.
Pickle pizza. What do you guys think?
I'm a no.
Stream whenever you want, wherever you want. We won't judge you. Keep streaming.
Here's what you get with your average local news stream. Here's what you get with CBS News Chicago. More breaking live coverage.
A closer look at the inauguration of the new mayor.
More impactful interviews.
Today, we're finding solutions.
More First Alert weather team coverage.
There's all the clouds we've been dealing with all morning long.
More live content when you want it, wherever you are. CBS News Chicago. More of what you're streaming for.
On our places, bright shiny faces.
When you wake up in the morning, we want to be your go-to team.
Nate has one of the quickest minds I've ever seen.
Tony has a way of making people feel comfortable.
Gail has this unbelievable knack to ask the question that you're asking at home.
I've been told I could talk to a tree, and that's pretty much true.
I don't go to work in the morning. I go for coffee with my 2 good friends, and we talk about the world.
Your morning routine just got better. CBS Mornings, weekdays at 7.
When people turn on the news, they're essentially saying, I trust you to tell me what happened today. That trust is never lost on me. I think about it all the time.
At the CBS Evening News, we focus on solutions. We look at a story and we say, how do we make it relevant to people's lives? So this is what we eat to live longer. Finding solutions, giving people context and depth, how much money we can spend on groceries, finding solutions to healthcare problems.
Based on all the doctors that you've spoken with, what should parents know?
Finding solutions to help people understand what are the right choices to make for your family.
The CBS Evening News with Nora O'Donnell on CBS.
Everybody has a Chicago story. Everybody has a Chicago memory. You know, I grew up a few blocks east of Halsted on 155th Street so I could look up and see the skyline. My mom worked downtown Chicago, and she'd bring us downtown with her to work on the train, and just like, wow, I feel like Stevie Wonder, skyscrapers and everything, all of that, right? But it's something about the city, it just draws you in. That's what weaves it together. I mean, it feels like it's home. There's no other place like it on the planet.
The Tooth Fairy getting socked with some soaring prices.
We had something really clever to say here, but this is just too cute. Keep streaming.
This is CBS 2 News at 9.
And good morning to you on this Tuesday. I'm Ryan Baker.
And I'm Adrena Sinclair. Thanks so much for joining us on TV or streaming us on CBS News Chicago. Now at 9, we've got lingering questions this morning after an officer is shot during a traffic stop. He's okay, thank goodness, but it's still unclear how he got hurt.
And a monument to honor Emmett Till's life and legacy. President Biden recognizing 3 key sites today.